Welcome to Burned and Better. I'm your host, Dr. Denisa Weber, a seven-figure CEO, speaker, mother, entrepreneur, and chiropractor. Over the last 15 years, I've faced the highest highs and the lowest lows of entrepreneurship, motherhood, and leadership. I've burned more times than I can count, but every time I've found a way through and come out better. This isn't about polished highlight reels. It's about the real, unfiltered side of leading, the kind of conversations usually kept behind closed doors. Here, I share my own stories and sit down with leaders who've stumbled, recalibrated, and built something worth leading. So if you've ever felt the weight of success or wonder what it looks like to fall hard but rise stronger, you're in the right place. Let's normalize the messy middle of leadership and step into the episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Burned and Better. This week, I have the pleasure of having my own HR company, Tami and Sarah with UNIcycle Consulting out of Fort Collins, Colorado, get to join me today. So thank you guys so much for coming in.
Yeah, we're so happy to be here.
Yes.
This is great.
These are the ladies that get to hear all my voice notes, y'all. This is like, they get to hear my crazy, sometimes very long. And if anyone is a friend of mine, you know how long I can go on a voice note, but it is literally, it's a thing. But these ladies get to hear some of the stuff that I'm going through and then get to walk me through like how to handle or what next steps we should do. But I hired them at a time where things were hitting the fan and I was out of my depth. But we'll go into that here in a minute. But first off, why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about what landed you into this beautiful profession that we call human resources.
Well, I'll start. So this is Tami Parker, the founder and CEO of UNIcycle Business Consulting, and we do offsite HR for small businesses, just like Dr. D's. And I just kind of grew up in business, leaning more into HR and training. And I worked for giant corporations, little brands that literally everybody on the planet has heard of. And I was really fortunate. They did a lot of training for me. And so practicing in giant corporations for 26 years, I had friends who owned small businesses who would ask me for advice because they didn't know how to handle a receptionist that's, playing on her phone or, they're just not used to that stuff that I was so used to. And then one of them asked me to help her with some interviews. And after she watched me interview, she said, "Can you do all my interviews?" Because she had never done an interview or she'd done them, but she'd never been trained on them. Mm-hmm. And then one day that same person said, "When are you going to charge me for this advice? I would pay for this advice." And I spent 8 months putting together my business plan and I quit my corporate job. And now UNIcycle is 8 years old.
That's awesome.
And then 3 years ago, I got to hire Miss Sarah Britton. I'll let her introduce herself.
Yeah, I've, like Tami said, been here for 3 years since moving to Colorado and joined with her and been with her ever since, hopefully for a lot longer. But I started with more mom and pop. I started with somebody who from ground up started what they did because they had a passion for it, but they also knew they don't know a lot. So I got the privilege of going through a lot of certifications and trainings and courses to better help the HR side because they knew nothing about it and they wanted someone to handle it. Mm-hmm. And through different businesses and different owners, I ended up at a business. We opened 6 new locations. We were open 24/7, 365. And I ended up having 280 direct reports. So there was a lot of learning, hiring, training, SOPs. Ooh. So there was so much HR. When I thought I was working in a bakery, I was actually doing HR. So, but I found out through trial and error a lot of stuff that I loved about it and why, instead of staying in the culinary world, why I wanted to do HR is because, getting to be a part of figuring out, fixing the problems and making a place where people love what they did. Mm-hmm. It's such a privilege and a pleasure to get to do that for people. So that's why I do HR here with Tami.
I love it. I love hearing the backstory of how people land in their, what they're doing now. And I know it gave me comfort knowing that you guys had exposure to corporations, but also in mom and pop. Like that's because, anyone who's going into business, I don't know, like small businesses, especially in my industry, no one's really knowing what, like, they're just wanting to be a great chiropractor. That's for me in my industry, just like and they're just trying to serve people. But then when you start bringing on team, then all these nuances start showing up. So I was going to say that usually and typically when you hear about HR, it takes you to like, you're like if you've had a big job, or if you've been employed by, I don't know, I used to work at the hospital. So the hospital has like that day where you're like, I'm about to just pull my eyes out. This is so boring.
Yeah.
But it's like all the needed and necessary stuff that you have to sign and you have to know and do all the things. And so when people think of HR, they think of big corporations. Tell me a little bit more about like who kind of like what are your clientele is like, because you guys have like attorney private practices. Tell me a little bit more so people know like who you serve.
Yeah, our clients, got into business to live their passion. And like you, right? You wanted to be a great chiropractor and serve families. Whatever their passion is, our work is the same. Whether we're talking to a law firm or a pizza shop or a chiropractic office, like the HR piece is exactly the same. So we actually don't have a niche. We really do want to support small business because of their impact on the community and shopping small and all that jazz is part of our passions. But our clients didn't go into business to care about changes to labor law. I joke that I'm the only one who did that. And they just need an expert, and they understand the liabilities and risk available to them. And so, Sarah and I view our work as protecting people for a living. We are protecting the organization, of course, and the owner, but each individual in that building. And so when we're working and we know a client has 12 employees, we're very cognizant of the fact that we're protecting 12 families' income today, and that we need to do it well and we need to do it right. And yes, retention is always what we want to do, but sometimes the smartest action is to exit somebody. So we do the hard conversations and really support our clients through that. It's not their fault that, let's say, somebody who founded a law firm 25 years ago has not had as many tough conversations as I've had in 32 years of HR experience, right? That's not their expertise. It's not their passion. And hard conversations is not my passion, but clarity is. So, yep. Sarah, do you want to add anything?
No, I think it's what you said is we have such a range of clients that we support. You talked about pizza, we have dog grooming, automotive care, classic car restoration. It's a speckling and everything, but when it comes down to supporting and helping, it really is the same work for us. And just getting in there, understanding like how they want their policies, how they want their training, what that looks like. That's what we really do. And it's the same for us, even though it's always an everyday different. I also think, Denise, you totally nailed it when you like that first HR day, boring paperwork, reading until everything is blurry. And then the only other time people think about HR is when they're in trouble.
1,000%.
Like, oh, yeah. So I have to talk to HR. That's,
yeah.
That's
and that's what I was going to say is like, for people who are listening, there's some people who just think like, I'm not to that level in my business that I need an HR company. And it's not like, it's almost like they feel like this would be just this out of reach thing for them. And it's like, actually not. And you need to explore having an HR assist. Like, you need to have it.
If you have a W-2 employee, you have liability. That's all there's to it.
Okay.
And I do think that people who hear about us or other companies too, because there's lots of HR firms out there, think that we're going to complicate their lives, and we actually make their life easier.
Yeah.
And we do good things too, like help people apply for medical leave if they need it, and make sure that all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted and all of those things. Like we really do support employees directly as well. It's not just written warnings.
Yeah, you guys, and just for context for everyone to know a little bit more about how they serve me personally is getting job listings descriptions. They are the third party in between the applicants and me. They are pre-screening applicants and then submitting people who they think I should be looking at, giving me reports on who they think would be a good match for a good candidate for our job listing. They are managing on the Indeed side or wherever we are listing our jobs. And then Not only that, they're doing 60-day, 90-day check-ins with new employees. They revamped my entire employee handbook. We still tweak it to this day. Like Tami and Sarah said earlier, they're looking at labor laws, they're looking at anything that's changing, all the stuff that I do not need to have going on in my mind. I'm looking about how to grow a business, serve our people well, all these things for me to like extract and pull back. I mean, that's when I hired you guys. Like I hired you
Great.
guys when I hit like all my time was on my team sucking the life out of me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I love, there are different people that I've loved in my team. There are people that I did not. And we handled that appropriately. However, it was consuming everything, whether it was time off, whether it was payroll, whether it was issues, like all of those things. And now since I've integrated team check-ins on a regular cadence, that has mitigated a lot. And now I'm training other people to do those check-ins for me, which has been just like a systems setup. But what I was going to ask you is like, at what point does not having HR become more expensive than having it?
Do you want to answer or do you want me to?
I know your answer. I want to hear you say that. I know this one. I know this one from her. It's great.
Well, I mean, we all think of like wrongful termination and those kinds of conversations. That's the big thing that people think about. But actually, for small businesses, they really run into more common bumps, like a complaint filed at the Department of Labor means there will automatically be an investigation into your business around breaks. The simple things. I was called by a stranger who was being investigated for not sending everybody on breaks. And it was going to cost this small business $950 per missed break for every missed break in the year of 2025.
Oh my gosh.
So for a small business, that could, like, this person is faced with, can I even afford to stay in business with this problem? So often it gets costly in the smallest ways that we don't anticipate.
Yeah.
And that's something Sarah and I talk about all the time. And we give you somebody to blame it on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like because employees, you start going, hey, nobody's taking a lunch break and clocking out for lunch. Hourly employees, that's a federal law. Mm-hmm. They have to have a clocked out lunch break. Well, if nobody's taking that, first of all, everybody's having a break. Mm-hmm. You're just paying them for it. Mm-hmm. And, they're going to parent-teacher conferences and you're paying them for it because they didn't clock out because nobody does that here. And you might pay fees later. So it's really in the small systems. Yeah. But when we go into a place, we get a new client and we go, hey guys, we got to do this because we've explained to the owner the financial liability and this small thing. The staff is grumpy because
I got used to it.
Yes, and I'm making their days longer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that also gives the business a place to say, hey, we're going to do this right. We need to take care of ourselves. Here's the law, and here's the ladies who are going to enforce it. And by the way, if they get a complaint later and they've hired an HR firm and made immediate changes, that's going to really help the business in that investigation as well. Like they identified a problem, made fast changes. So often the liabilities are in the smallest things, and not just the biggest things. Yeah. Another piece is accommodations, accommodations for people with disabilities or any physical, mental impairment. That's a tough needle to thread for a small business. Mm-hmm. And what's reasonable, I have all of that experience from corporate, and what's not reasonable for a small business is very different than it is for a giant corporation. So it's really in the details that we deal with all the time that you guys aren't thinking about that we want to protect you from.
And and then that's the thing, you've helped me think about it as much as I need to think about it. And in the front end of setting it up to where it's like, okay, I can go head down in this for a little bit for you guys to explain it to me. And I still have to call them and be like, what did we cover that before? And they're like, yes, please reference this page in your employee handbook. And I'm like, okay, thank you. There's so many, I'll just have like these downloads in my brain. And then I'm like, did we iron that out? But I will say, like, even the biggest liability, sometimes people do not see this. Yes, it's those things that can really, that's major. But also it slows you down. it slows a
Mm.
CEO down. It to like
Mm.
for someone who's trying to like move things forward, time is the most valuable resource. And when all these little, like little, can I talk to you? Can I do this? Hey, what's, like managing all these emotions and all these different things. It's like, hey, this is how this is going to happen for now. There's actually Tami and Sarah that can handle this for you.
Call
Um,
HR. Call
Call
HR.
HR.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not, let's have your emotional session with me. I'm your boss. Like, and this is a job. And, while I care about the people that I work with, I also am not going to like this is a business. And if you want to be employed by me, then you need to allow me to do my job, which is to try to make this profitable. So, in order to pay you to be here. Anyway, well, I
And to
digress. Okay.
maintain your benefits and all that. Yeah, of
Yes, a
course.
benefit. Yeah, it's another thing. They do the benefits. They do the short-term to long-term disability. Like kind of just like explaining it to my team, explaining all the nuances of like would maternity leave look like, and what's appropriate like based on the state that we're in. And my brain does not work like that, guys. I don't know about y'all, but like I'm just so grateful that there are people like them that are doing what they do, because I can do what I do. So we're going to get into this because I wanted to ask you, what's the most common, this goes into what I think what you're going to talk about. What is the most common leadership mistake you see when there's no HR support in place?
The avoidance of conflict. Um, it feels like a lot of times a business owner will just bend over backwards and tie themselves in knots
Mm-hmm.
to not say the thing to the employee,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to say the thing,
Yeah.
because it ends up making more conflict later for everybody, even for the employee. Like when
Yeah.
we're vague about why somebody's not performing, we don't set them up to be able to meet our expectations, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
But HR ends up saying hard things a lot and very bluntly. But Sarah and I believe it's the kindest thing we can do for that employee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Clear is kind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Being able to understand your boss's expectations and standards of your performance means you're more likely to kind of get there and hit it. No one wants to like try to cross the finish line not knowing where it is. It seems impossible. So now you have morale issues with the team and the staff because they didn't get what they needed from the CEO. So giving those really hard, like, hey, this is not working. What do we need to do? Conversations can really turn someone's performance around or help that CEO realize this isn't the person for this role.
Totally.
And again, that's saving time and money by making sure the right people are in the right seats.
Mm-hmm.
So have the conversation. Is it comfortable? No. Should you enjoy it every day? Absolutely not. We don't either. But
Yeah.
it really is setting others in your organization up for success by going through those hard, 20-minute conversations of figuring out what they need to do better.
Yeah, and if you push that conversation out, you're constantly wrestling. I feel like it's something that you still are waking up at night. It's a nagging, like as the employer or CEO, you're like, when am I going to have this conversation? How can you're hoping something will unwind to where you can be let off the hook to not say it. I know this because I struggled with it for years, and it was just like, it'll fix itself.
Oh yeah.
Bad strategy.
The wait and hope phase.
Yeah. It's called denial. Full on denial. And then I'm just going to abdicate, and then I feel like that's when the standard of leadership is kind of started to erode. And then they lack respect with you because you're not willing to go like to bat and say the thing. I mean, and also too, other employees are looking at you going, I know you see this. We've all talked to you about it, and now you're unwilling. You're just going to pretend as if nothing has happened.
Yeah, by letting those things keep going, what you're doing is demotivating the staff you want to keep.
Yeah.
The staff that is meeting expectations.
Yeah.
And when I meet with a potential client, I'll be pretty blunt in those first conversations because people need to be comfortable with me and Sarah just saying the thing.
Yeah.
And when it's like people doing time theft, or people not, they're goofing off at work, they're wasting time, or they're remote and we don't know if they're working, or we really think they're not, blah 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 blah. And the owner's like, well, that doesn't bother me too much if it's like a couple hours. I'm like, excuse me, wait a minute.
Okay, you're fine with them stealing from you. You're okay with being, theft?
No.
Great. And I'll say in my meetings,
I've had that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say, because I can bring everything back, or we can, to money and your customer's experience, right? So I said, oh, let's say we pay this person $20 an hour. So you're okay with them stealing $40 from you every day of business times 2,080, how many days a year? I just want to do the math so I can let all the rest of the staff know how much money each of them can steal from you before we're going to take action.
It just makes me like, every single dollar matters, because it's like and if you are willing to do that to my company, like, here's the door. Like, no, that's such a low vibe player to employ. And I've had plenty, but they also like it too. It's like they can come from other places that tolerated the same behavior.
But those people that came from those places call it a toxic work environment, right?
Okay. Sarah, talk about that.
Buzzword. Yeah.
Talk about that. Let's get into that, because I feel like there's this kind of, y'all get to see it, but yes, everyone, I won't say everyone. There is a commonality that I've seen where people are looking to have all their needs met from their job. Like, I'm going to have my best life ever. And it's like, if the job doesn't allow for, it doesn't like help them feel like it's the best life ever. There's so much job turnover where people if you think about like my grandparents or my parents, it's like they've maybe changed jobs 2 or 3 times in their lifetime. But now we're in a whole like generation of people who, they probably are on their 7th and 8th job by 24, you know what I mean? And, or 27, I don't know. But
they call it the wandering workforce.
Ooh.
There's a whole thing around that. That's, we did a blog about it a while ago, and the fact that like the people are looking to have more of their needs met, like you said, and not everything, because we also say, like, you're joining a community, don't go out looking for a family, because for some people, family is like the bad F word. Okay, yes. You're joining a community, you're part of it, and so a lot of people are still looking for like every box to be checked on their list, and that's not realistic either, but they'll hop around. There's also some benefit to it, because some places want somebody with that experience, or they work there, so maybe I'll get them and we'll pay them this. And then they're like, okay, well, I learned what I wanted to learn, so I'm going to go here now. And so it's almost like they're building their own like Lego staircase from all these small businesses, because for them, it's Pokemon, collect them all, right? But that's not how it used to be. And so there's this whole disjointed about how business owners are expecting to like, invest in this person and have loyalty them here, really, really join and just be so key player for them, only to have this person being like, oh no, I'm just here to kind of get this experience so that I can try it out here when I want to do this later.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And I was actually on a panel in the Denver area around job hopping, and the person sitting beside me was there to be a proponent for changing jobs every 3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months?
Insane.
Yes.
Who wants to hire that?
And I said to her in front of this room of people, if I saw your resume, it would never get to my client.
Never.
I'm not putting, never. I am not putting someone in front of you, Denisa.
My standard is not that.
No.
Like I said, I need you to know you're missing 90% of the potential interviews with that resume.
Yeah, because I remember talking to you guys, and I was like, there was some parameters. I was like, if the person has too much turnover, like if they've been somewhere for less than a year, or like there needs to be a ginormous story about this. Like like I need to hear, there has to be major context on it. But like seeing that, if you saw how exhausting is that? That's like training all the time. As an employee, I would be like, that's miserable just to train at a new job every 3 months. Like,
Professional
no,
new person.
Seriously.
no.
And from an HR perspective, nobody is fully in role and acting in the most optimum way we need the role performing until they've been in the role for a year.
It's so
Like,
true.
they're just not on autopilot functioning the way in all the standards we
Yep.
expect.
Yep.
And so so all these people gave you the opportunity and you turned around and went, I really don't care about you or my own reputation because
Do not
this is
put
what
me
my
on your
resume's.
resume. If they call, they will hear from me. Like they will hear
Yes.
different. Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah. I feel like it's been cleaner with resignations. I haven't been in a termination specific. I've fortunately have been able to have people resign even when I wanted to terminate. And then even one try to come back and file unemployment. That one was funny. You're like,
yeah.
oh, let me show the state your resignation letter.
Yeah. I had a client say to me, I want to leave you a really nice Google review. And I was like, great, thank you. And she goes, I don't know how to say, you just made me write stuff down and that's really saved my butt. And I said, well, but she said, time and again, you've had me document stuff.
Documentation.
And something's come up and you've said to me, well, we have a signature on that from the employee.
Yeah.
And she said, it's like, I can't tell you how often I'm just like, thank you, Tami, for making me write it down. And she said, that seems like a crazy thing to compliment you on. But
it's
so
true.
important.
It's so
Yeah.
the simple stuff is what makes it work,
Mhm.
and yeah, you were so right. I feel like there's so many, it's just like I've been sloppy in having a business in the past, and I feel like there are a lot of sloppy businesses out there that if you poke just a little bit, you will find that there's massive exposure, massive liability, and a lot of them are, they're month to month businesses. Like if something hit them sideways, that would be they may not exist,
They don't have a payroll runway and things like that in place. And they're just
Yes.
living month to month. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I do want to say, like, Sarah and I talk a lot with our clients about business reality, right? It's not an attorney's fault that they didn't have all their HR ducks in a row before they hired HR. And that's the reality of the work of being an entrepreneur, of starting your business and fumbling through the first few years. And we feel passionately about meeting people where they're at and just moving forward.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's okay that you didn't know, you weren't prepared, but you see it now. We're fixing it, we're learning from it, and now we have a plan for next time.
Totally.
Yeah, we don't have magic wands, but we do have kind vision about moving forward.
Yeah. What would you say is the craziest story that y'all have ever navigated in HR?
I have a lot.
I know you do. I know y'all do. I was curious. I'm like, is mine that bad? Like,
No.
yeah.
No, it's not.
No. So I worked with a business that had 6 multiple locations in 3 different states that was, like I said, is 24/7, 365, never closed. So there was a lot of weird characters that you get in the wee hours of the morning, when you don't want to go home, but you have to go somewhere. And so we found that we had a lot of unique employees who wanted to work at, 3 a.m. because that's not normal.
No.
But also the clientele. And so my weird story kind of comes out of that, is that we had a man filming other patrons and other women who were there during the time he was, and he got caught doing that and filming patrons and our employees.
No.
And had to, I'm not there at 3 a.m, thank goodness. And so how do you look out for this person? How do you tell your staff we know that's not okay, we're going to handle it? It ended up, so much filming got done and his inappropriate actions that we ended up having to call the police.
Yeah.
We ended up taking him to court because of what he had done. Really inappropriate actions by a patron. and putting the employees in a place where they're just like, I'm not comfortable. I don't want to work here if you guys are okay with that. Of course we're not okay with that.
Of course, yeah.
So yeah, inappropriate people mistreating people's trust in a public place, and then our employees having to navigate that on their own at 3 a.m. and then feel safe about how we're going to handle it when like no one was necessarily on site for that. So that was like just tricky and icky. I've had the pleasure of going to court 2 other times with the EOC, trying to deal with matters around like how people felt at work as an employee there. But those were heavy.
Yeah.
Heavy lifting. Yeah.
Heavy
Yeah.
lifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, it's just so wild, the different, and yeah, you're like, when you start a business, you're like, I can't believe this is happening inside my, inside my, whatever that business is. I don't know. It sounds like a gas station to me. But anyway, just, it's probably not, but I'm just saying, like, I'm like 3 a.m, open 24/7. That's crazy. But that is so like, yeah, I mean, and that's where you're like, thank God we have, documentation, you have HR, you have all those things. And it doesn't have to be this extreme, guys, but like, yeah, I mean, I think I've talked about some of the stuff that I didn't share, some of them that I came to you guys about that were very tricky. And I was like, whoa, I'm like, what do we do if this ever happens? And you guys were there with an answer, which was awesome. Not that I ever want to attract that, but
Yeah. There's stuff more like employee related, like employee who is caught stealing straight from the till, from like the register, but we know why is because she's on hard times. She's shared it. We know, but when we catch her stealing, we don't have another choice. Doing the hard thing is actually the right thing. And she had to be terminated, knowing that like she was having a hard time feeding her baby.
But she needed baby formula.
Yeah. And she's taking money for that, but we can't.
And if she
let that
if she had let her boss know, probably would have went and bought formula.
Totally.
But instead was stealing and had to be terminated. And then, so our work is hard. Like terminating a mom who was stealing because she needed baby formula, not our best day.
It's the right thing because
it's the right thing.
But it's so hard.
Ugh. Yeah, doing tough things, even when like this is the right thing. Yeah. Would you say that some of the employers or the people that you guys serve, are they, because I always talk to you guys about like, and I'm going to have this conversation. I'm going to have this conversation. I'm going to have this conversation. Would you say most of these owners are not that way, or you see them just, I know you said they avoid conflict the most, but end up creating more. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to ask here, but I know it's been one of my biggest things with you guys is like, I had that conversation and then I came to you guys and you were like, I'm glad you're having these conversations. It makes it easier for us too.
So most of our clients, part of our support is to teach Amanda to fish, right? We cannot be available for every hard conversation every day for all of our clients.
Yep.
And when someone's new with us, we do more hand-holding support. Like
in the beginning,
I'm going to go do a written final today and show a business, this is how this conversation goes. I've already shown them how we're going to document it, and I've already written the warning. And so we're about training the owners to feel empowered and know how to handle things.
Yeah.
A guy who owns 2 locations of a pizza shop says, I just think, what would Tami say to me right now? And I know what to do, and I move on now. And he's been with us for 4 years. But we want to be hands-on as much as we can, but the reality is we're fractional and can't be at every conversation.
Yeah.
So what we're often doing is saying, here's the phrasing on that. Or here's how I would say that.
Yeah.
And it's just because we have so much experience and practice and training, that someone said to me at a happy hour once at a networking event, I don't need a handbook. Can't I just put on a piece of paper, don't be a blank hole? And I said, nope, that's not a handbook. You cannot say that.
That is because that is such a subjective, like you're like, what?
No.
Your definition of that is different than everybody else's.
And what I'll
definition of
tolerate
that.
and what you'll tolerate, completely different.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I've been super, I've been very blessed to have them in my corner, and I get to check in with them monthly now, and then on the occasion get some. Right now we're interviewing, so all the fun stuff with that. So, is there anything that you'd like to leave viewers with as far as like top reasons to make sure you have HR in your arsenal?
I would lean into like, if you don't know, then ask for help. There's a company, a firm, there's somebody out there that, in the HR realm that could help you, get you clarity so that you can create that work environment that thrives. The bottom line, as well as the employees, the morale, there's people out there like us who want to help create a place where people love what they do and get to do it every day. So know what you don't know and ask for help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, none of us file our own taxes.
Oh,
use a professional.
Totally.
I wouldn't touch doing my own business taxes. I pay a CPA, right?
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, please get the help when you need it. We do have an offering called HR CPR that's affordable for any business, and they can get a call with one of us within 48 hours to get advice and maybe a form, and it's a flat $150 to use HR CPR.
That's a
no-brainer. Any business can talk to us if they need it, and it's not like we're making a ton of money on that offering, right?
No.
But we're doing it to support community, to support small business community. So
love that.
I hope you don't mind the little plug, but that's why it's there.
That's good. And I'll put a link to UNIcycle in the show notes, guys, so you'll get access to them if you want to set up a call. But I'm so glad you guys got to join us today. And again, they keep me sane. So if you're looking for a good HR, this is where you need to go. And Elise is the one that set us up. So like, she's the one who gave me your referral, Elise Rigney. And she was like, I didn't know you were using Tami and Sarah. I was like, yeah, I'm using her. Thank God, all the things. But so glad you got to join us. Guys, hope you guys have a great week. And we'll see you next week for another episode. Thanks for tuning in to Burned and Better. Follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, tap 5 stars or write us a quick review. That's how this work is going to grow. I'd love to hear what stood out for you in this conversation. Share this episode, tag me at Southern_Cairo on Instagram, and pass it on to someone who needs it today.